So do you want me to introduce and then you'll introduce Chongyu?
Yeah, sounds good. Yeah.
Let's see. Okay, I'm gonna there's 4 people in the waiting room. Chongyu's already put up presentation, so
yeah,
I'll let everyone in.
what would the flow look like? It's like I present firstly and then Q&A session, or just since I'm presenting like 3 papers, so I was wondering if it's like answer questions after each paper, or like a Q&A all together.
Chongyu, I think it would make sense if it's okay with you. We can do it any way you want, but if you want to make sure that you get through your presentation or whatever you want to say, then the way we've done it before is that you make your entire presentation, and then at 4:10 we'll invite questions. So there'll be like 15 minutes. So okay. And do you have a timer? Do you want me to let you know at 4:10 that?
Yeah, you can give me a reminder around like 4:10.
Should I send you a text that's good enough, or will you look at it?
You can just interrupt me. Yeah.
Interrupt you. Okay, sounds good. Yeah. That's fine. Yeah. Okay, let's do a little more, right?
Yeah, let's wait 1 more minute.
Yeah.
So Chongyu, when do I get to ask you random questions?
Anytime. Except where's my baby, because I just put him to sleep in case he would like create all kinds of background noise.
Oh, babies and puppies. If you did your research presentation with the baby next to you, we'd be like even more delighted. I just have to mute my video for a little bit, Chongyu. Please don't mind. I'm sharing this other meeting for just 15 minutes, so I'll be there the whole time with you. Okay. Good luck.
Okay.
Okay, so we're going to get started. So welcome everybody. This is actually our last Lubin Research Seminar Series of the semester. We feel like it's been a really great start to the year. We have a really great roster lineup for next semester, so please check the website. You'll also be getting invites about that coming up. And we're so excited. So like usual, PV is going to introduce our speaker, Chongyu, and then he'll also lay the groundwork for what's going on in terms of when people can ask questions and the layout for the seminar. So thank you again, everybody, for coming and the support for the LRSS in general. So go ahead, PV.
Okay. Hi, everybody. Again, as to repeat what Lyra said, we've had a really good season, and we're going to have, I think, an even better season, better term next time with all of your participation. So today we're going to be hearing from Chongyu. Chongyu Lu is an assistant professor of marketing at our own Lubin School. She got a PhD in marketing from the University of Houston, and her current research focuses on digital marketing and marketing analytics. And she's published in a lot of good journals: Journal of Advertising Research, Journal of Marketing Management, Journal of Marketing and Logistics, Marketing Development Competitiveness, and a whole host of other work that looks really interesting. But I look forward to hearing more about it directly from Chongyu. The way we are going to be doing it is we'll let Chongyu present till 4:10, and then we'll take questions at the end, and at that time, that way, we'll give her an opportunity to say all that she wants to say. And then at that point, the questions you can raise your hand, and I'll call on you sequentially, or you can also put your questions in the chat room. I mean, in chat, and I can read them out. We can do it either way. So, Chongyu, please go ahead.
Yeah. Thank you, PB, for the introduction. It is a great pleasure to share with you my research at our Lubin Research Seminar. Today, I plan to share with you 3 of my research about the effectiveness of paid search advertising. Firstly, I wanted to briefly talk about some background information about paid search advertising. When we search for something on search engines like Google, we may see some advertisements on the search results page like this. Okay. This is what we call search engine advertising. Okay. This is a typical type of paid search advertising. Another type of paid search advertising is what we call sponsored advertising on e-commerce platforms such as Amazon. For example, when we search for, say, running shoes for women on Amazon, we may see some sponsored advertisements like this. This is also what we call paid search advertising. Paid search advertising is actually also known as PPC, which stands for pay per click, meaning advertisers make a payment for each click occurs. Okay. For example, when we search for, say, MBA on Google, we may see several advertisements like this from there's 4 different advertisers, including NJIT, Syracuse, ESMT Berlin, and fellow Dixon University. Okay. Suppose we end up with clicking on the ad in the top position, the top ad here from NJIT, then the advertiser, NJIT, needs to pay a fee to Google for that click occurs. But the remaining advertisers don't have to pay for just displaying, showing the ads on the search results page. So that's why paid search advertising is also known as the PPC, which means pay per click. Paid search advertising or pay per click is actually one of the most popular and effective advertising channel in marketing. That's why, as you can see here from this chart, the search advertising spending has been increasing over time. Specifically in 2020, the search advertising spending was about $66 million. And this number was expected to double by 2025. If we look at paid search advertising from an advertiser perspective, then the process is like this. Advertisers select and bid keywords on advertising platforms like Google to tell those advertising platforms when to show their advertisements. Okay. When advertisements are shown on those platforms like Google, this is what we call impression, meaning the number of times an ad is shown. When those ads get clicks, this is what we call clicks, meaning the number of clicks that an ad receives. Clicking on the ads would bring the searchers to the landing page of a product. Then when the searchers make a purchase on that landing page or take any kinds of desired actions on that landing page, this is what we call conversions. The ratio of clicks to impression is what we call a click-through rate. And the ratio of conversions to clicks is what we call a conversion rate. Okay. Click-through rate and conversion rate, along with sales are what marketers usually use to measure the effectiveness of paid search advertising. Today in this talk, I plan to share with you 3 of my research about paid search advertising. The first one is about consumer click behavior. The second one is about keyword selection. The third one is about the role of keyword features in paid search advertising. Okay. Depending on how much time I will have later, I may just quickly share with you the basic story and the major findings of my second and third research paper. Okay. Let's start with the first one. The first research paper I want to share with you is about consumer click behavior across devices in search engine advertising. We know that consumers may use different devices when they conduct searches on search engines like Google. Here in this paper, I examined if and how consumer click behavior are different when the searches are conducted on different devices. By device, I mean smartphone, desktop, and tablets. So for example, suppose you search for a hotel in New York City on smartphone versus hotel in New York City on desktop. Then would your click behavior be different between these 2 devices? What if you perform the same search on tablet? Then would your click behavior be different than that on smartphone or desktop? Advertisers definitely care about click behavior because, as we just briefly mentioned, advertisers needed to make payment for each click occurrence, right? So essentially, click behavior determines how much advertisers needed to pay for that advertising campaign. Then why do you care about click behavior across devices? The motivation is twofold. Firstly, the marketing literature on paid search click behavior look at just desktop searches only. This is because before 2014, most searches were conducted on desktop. But as you can see from this chart, starting in 2015, the number of searches conducted on mobile actually surpassed the number of searches conducted on desktop. And the gap between mobile and desktop has been increasing over time, indicating that more and more searches are now conducted on mobile. Therefore, I'm wondering if the literature on desktop, the results obtained, the results on desktop can be generalizable to mobile devices. In fact, a body of literature found that device usages affect consumer behavior in non-paid search advertising context. For example, Liu and Wang found that desktop usage leads to preferences for utilitarian products. Utilitarian products, as you know, are those products that are practical or functional, right? Whereas tablet usage tends to lead to preferences for hedonic products. Hedonic products are those products that can bring enjoyment or pleasures to consumers. In addition, Brainstorm and Gibbs found that consumers value items more when they're shopping on mobile devices. A more interesting finding is that consumers tend to order less healthy food on smartphones. This is because the orders made through smartphones are less likely to be seen by others. Therefore, smartphone users are less concerned with how other people think of their orders, and therefore they tend to order less healthy food on smartphones. Another study found that tablet usage tended to lead to more casual browsing, and therefore lead to more unplanned purchase and a wider diversity of products. Additional studies found that mobile users more likely will shop for habitual products. Habitual products are those products that consumers purchased before. So in sum, my point is that these previous studies found that device usages do affect consumer behavior. So I believe that device usage would also affect consumer click behavior in paid search advertising context. So this is one motivation of this study, which has to do with the literature. The other motivation is that advertisers care about consumer click behavior across devices because in paid search advertising, advertisers can set different prices for different devices for the same keyword. For example, for the search term, say, hotel in New York, advertisers can set a baseline bidding price. And on top of that, advertisers can increase or decrease the bidding price for different devices. For example, this table shows that this advertiser wants to increase the bidding price for desktop users by 50%, for mobile users by 10%, while decrease the bidding price by 20% for tablet users. So as you can see here, that knowing consumer behavior across devices would help advertisers bid more strategically and thus improve the performance of the paid search advertising campaign. So to study consumer click behavior across devices, we actually looked at 3 research questions. The first one is, which device users are more likely to click on a top ad? For example, when we search for a hotel in New York City, then with which device are you more likely to click on a top ad? Oh, by the way, the top ad is the ad in the top position. This is usually the position that advertisers pay the most. So that's the usually position that advertisers care about the most. The second research question we're looking at is, with which device users are more sensitive to position change, For example, when the ad position changes from 1 to 2, let's say for mobile users, the click-through rate, which is the probability to click on advertisement, say, decreased by 0.5%, versus for desktop users, when the ad position changes from 1 to 2, the click-through rate decreased by, say, 0.01%. Then we can infer that mobile users are more sensitive to the ad position change than desktop users, because the click-through rate declines more on mobile versus on desktop. Okay, so this is the second question we're looking at. The third research question we're looking at is the click behavior on tablet more similar to smartphone or more similar to desktop? Tablet is more similar to smartphone when it comes to the screen size. They're both small. So if the screen size is the factor that determines consumer click behavior, then tablet is more similar to smartphone, right? But tablet is more similar to desktop when it comes to usage location. I mean, consumers are more likely to use tablets and desktop when they are at home, where the Wi-Fi is connected, right? In practice, since tablet only accounts for generally just a very small number, a small share of the searchers, so advertisers tended to combine tablet with other devices when they set up the bidding price. Some advertisers tended to group tablet with smartphone and set the same bidding price for those 2 devices. Some other advertisers tended to group tablet with desktop and tended to set the same bidding prices for these 2 devices. So my point is that this is kind of like an arbitrary decision for practitioners, because they don't know if tablet is more similar to smartphone or more similar to desktop in terms of consumer click behavior. So that's why I wanted to find out the answer to this question in this paper. So to answer the 3 research questions, we used daily Google Ads data from 13 advertisers from a 2-year period of time. For each advertiser, we have a list of keywords that advertisers bidded on during that time period. And for each advertiser and keyword combination, we have daily ad impression, meaning the number of times the ad is shown, and the clicks, the ad clicks, and average ad position, maximum cost per click, meaning the maximum amount that an advertiser is willing to pay for each click occurrence, and the quality score. Quality score is a score that Google assigns to the advertisement to evaluate the quality of the ad copy. The data is broken down by device so that we can, start a device effect. In terms of the model, since from our advertiser perspective, a searcher can either click or not click the focal ad. So we choose to use a binary choice model where the clicks for keyword I on date T on device D follows a binomial distribution with the probability click-through rate. And the click-through rate is a function of ad position. To start a device effect, we actually build a hierarchical model where we allow the intercept to vary by device. So here we have a dummy variable smartphone, dummy variable for tablets, and our baseline group is desktop. We also allow the slope to vary by smartphone, to vary by devices, more specifically smartphone and tablets. So essentially here in our model, beta 1, beta 2 captures the cross device in consumers' tendency to click on the top advertisements, whereas gamma 1 and gamma 2 captures the cross device difference in consumers' sensitivity to the ad position. Okay. So here in the model, to control for endogeneity issue, we include a set of control variables such as the number of impressions, cost per click, daily running effect, query running effect, so on and so forth. We actually run the model for each advertiser one by one. So for each advertiser, we have an estimate beta 1, beta 2, gamma 1, gamma 2, right? Since we have 13 advertisers, so we have 13 groups of beta 1, beta 2, gamma 1, gamma 2. Then what we do is to, for each estimate, we pool their estimate across advertisers. Then we obtain the overall mean. We calculate the overall mean by following the idea behind the meta-analysis. And we use that overall mean to answer our research questions. Okay. And in addition, we in our analysis, we separate the branded searches from non-branded searches. Branded searches are those searchers that include a brand name. For example, a search term like a Hilton Hotel, Hotel Marriott are examples of branded searches because they include the brand name. In contrast, unbranded searches are those search terms that do not include a brand name, such as the cheapest hotel in the city, like a hotel in NYC, so on and so forth. Okay. The reason we separate branded searches from unbranded searches in analysis is that previous studies found that different types of search query, branded versus unbranded, have different effects on their click-through rate. So that's why we separate them in their analysis. So let's take a look at the results. The first part of results is about top search ad click-through rate for unbranded searches. So essentially, this result is about consumers' tendency to click on their top ad when they conducted unbranded searches. As mentioned before, beta 1, beta 2 captures the cross device in their tendency to click on their top ad. So in terms of the difference between smartphone and desktop, this is what beta 1 captures. Here, every blue circle stands for estimates of a particular advertiser. Since we have 13 advertisers here, so we have 13 blue dots. And the range here stands for 95% confidence interval. The red triangle on the bottom is the overall mean calculated by pulling the results from these 13 advertisers. So this is where we use to again answer the research questions. So since we can see here the overall mean is significantly positive, meaning that compared to desktop users, smartphone users are more likely to click on the top advertisement. In terms of difference between tablet and desktop, we can see that the overall mean is also significantly positive, indicating that compared to desktop users, our tablet users are more likely to click on the top advertisement. In terms of difference between smartphone and tablet, which is captured by beta 1 minus beta 2, the overall mean is significantly negative, indicating that compared to tablet users, smartphone users are less likely to click on top advertisement. So this is the result for unbranded searches. Let's take a look at the result for branded searches. In terms of the difference between smartphone and desktop, the overall mean is insignificant, indicating that there's no significant difference between smartphone and desktop in terms of their tendency to click on a top search ad when they conduct branded searches. In terms of the differences between tablet and desktop, we find that the overall mean is significantly positive, indicating that compared to desktop users, our tablet users are more likely to click on the top ad. Since the overall mean for beta 1 minus beta 2 is significantly negative, we conclude that compared to tablet users, smartphone users are less likely to click on our top advertisement for branded searches. Now let's take a look at the results for the sensitivity of the click-through rate to ad position change. As mentioned before, gamma 1, gamma 2 captures the cross-device difference in the sensitivity to ad position change. So here we can see that the overall mean for gamma 1 is significantly negative, indicating that compared to desktop users, smartphone users are more sensitive to the position change. And regarding the differences between tablet and desktop, the gamma 2 is significantly, again, negative, indicating that compared to desktop users, tablet users are more sensitive to the position change. Whereas here the gamma 1, gamma 2 is insignificant, indicating that there is no significant difference between smartphone and tablet in terms of the sensitivity to position change. Okay. So here, in terms of the sensitivity to position change, we only look at the result for unbranded searches. This is because for branded searches, the ad position is pretty much always 1. So there is like no change in ad position for branded searches. Excuse me. So this is basically the summary of our findings. So for the unbranded searches, the click-through rate for the top search ad is highest on tablet, followed by smartphone, followed by desktop. And also the click-through rate when the ad position moves down from the top, the click-through rate declines more on tablet and smartphone compared to desktop. Okay. And for branded searchers, the click-through rate for top ad is highest on tablet, followed by smartphone, but there's no significant difference between smartphone and desktop. Okay. This findings actually have very important managerial implications. Firstly, because we can see here that the click-through rate for the top ad is higher on smartphone than on desktop. And also when the ad position gets worse, the click-through rate declines more on smartphone than on desktop. So we suggested that paid search advertiser may consider paying a higher top position premium on smartphone than on desktop for unbranded queries. In other words, paid search advertisers may consider like increase the bidding price for their smartphone users. But paid search advertisers may not consider doing so for the branded queries. This is because there's no significant difference between smartphone and desktop users, right? So this is one important managerial implication. Another one is that, as we can see here from the findings, that for both unbranded searches and branded searches, tablet is actually more similar to smartphone. Therefore, we suggest that paid search advertisers are likely better off by grouping tablets with smartphones and treating them differently to desktop. This is another important managerial implications regarding this paper. And this is pretty much all the first paper is about. I don't know if you guys have any questions. Feel free to leave in the chat box, or we can answer all the questions all together after the presentation. So let's move on to the second paper I plan to share with you. The second one is about the keyword selection. Let me start with the motivation of this research. When we search for something like a Nike Air Force One trader, we may see advertisements like this. Okay, this is because the advertiser Nike beat the relevant keywords like Air Force One, Nike Air Force One, or Nike shoes, something like this. Okay, in practice, actually, in paid search advertising, advertisers often select a list of keywords to create a keyword portfolio for advertised products. Okay. For example, suppose Nike wants to develop an advertising campaign for its product, Nike Air Force One. Then when they set up the paid search ad, they needed to actually enter a list of words or phrases that are used to match their ads with the terms that people are searching for. Words like men's shoes, Nike Air Force One, athlete men's shoes. Okay. This list of keywords is entered by advertiser. It is used to tell their advertising platform like Google when to show the ads to searchers. This list of ads is what we call a keyword portfolio. The literature in paid search advertising is often started on a single keyword basis. So here in this study, we wanted to take a portfolio approach to look at how the keyword portfolio characteristics affect product sales. Okay. To study keyword portfolio characteristics, we adopt a concept called diversity, which is proposed by Harris and Clan. They define diversity as the distribution of differences among members with respect to a common attribute. Okay. This concept is actually widely used in prior studies. And some studies use this concept to study portfolio characteristics. So following their previous studies, we actually in our study proposed a concept called keyword portfolio diversity. And more specifically, we drawing on the concept proposed by Harrison Plan, we proposed two types of diversity. One is what we call a portfolio variety. Another one is what we call a portfolio disparity. Portfolio variety is defined as distribution of differences in semantic topics among keywords in keyword portfolio. semantic topics are topics that are brand related, function related, usage season related, so on and so forth. Okay. Harrison and Clem actually defines that maximum variety occurs when each member within the unit comes from a unique category of attribute. So we applied this definition to our context. So we have maximum variety occurs when each keyword within our keyword portfolio comes from a unique topic of the semantic topics. Let me give you an example of a keyword portfolio with maximum variety. It is a keyword portfolio that includes Nike Air Force One, running shoes, and summer shoes. Okay. This is a portfolio with a maximum variety because here each word comes from a unique semantic topic. Say Nike Air Force One is a brand related topic. Running shoes is function related topic. Summer shoes is usage related topic. Let's assume there are just 3 semantic topics. So here, each keyword in the keyword portfolio comes from a unique topic. So that's why this is an example of keyword portfolio with maximum variety. In contrast, minimum variety occurs when all keywords in the keyword portfolio comes from the same topic. Therefore, example of keyword portfolio with minimum variety is Nike, Nike Air Force One, Nike shoes. So they all come from the same topic, which are brand related. So that's why it is an example of keyword portfolio with minimum variety. Okay. So essentially, what portfolio variety captures is the spread of keywords across semantic topics. Okay. Higher variety means broader distribution of semantic topics. Another type of diversity we propose is called a portfolio disparity. It is also based on Harrison Clem. We define it as a distribution of differences among keywords in the keyword portfolio in subcategory levels. Subcategory levels are levels from specific product level to product category level to product category level. Following the concept proposed in Harrison Clem, we have maximum disparity occurs when each keyword is at the category level, where all other keywords in the portfolio are at the bottom level, which is a specific product level. And based on this definition, we can see an example of a portfolio with maximum disparity. It's a portfolio that includes shoes, which is at a category level, and all the other keywords are at the product level, like Nike Air Force One, Nike Air Force One customized. So this is a specific product levels. In contrast, the minimum disparity occurs when all the keywords of the keyword portfolio belongs to the same subcategory level. For example, a portfolio that includes Nike shoes warm, Nike shoes black, Nike shoes. So these keywords, they all belong to the same subcategory level, which is between category level and a specific product level. Okay. So essentially what portfolio disparity captures is the inequality in the subcategory levels. So in this study, we proposed this 2 concepts of proposed disparity and variety, and use them to study how this word portfolio characteristics, I mean variety and disparity, affects our sales, more specifically direct sales and indirect sales. Direct sales are the sales of their advertised products. For example, when a consumer clicks on an ad and then land on that product page and then make the purchase. And then that purchase is what are considered as direct sales. It's the sales of the advertised product. Whereas indirect sales are sales of those products sold by their same advertiser. For example, when the searchers land on that product page but didn't make the purchase, for that advertised product. However, that searcher end up with purchasing other products sold by the same advertiser, then that purchase is considered as indirect sales. Okay. Here
we have 5 more minutes.
5 more minutes. Okay. So here, based on this, so this is the basic research framework we looked at. So on top of this basic research framework, we also looked at the device effect, more specifically how the effects of keyword portfolio characteristic on products are moderated by device. Okay, because previous studies found that device usage, as we mentioned, may affect consumer click behavior. So due to the time constraint, I just skip the data part and then move on to the results part directly. So what we did in this paper basically is to calculate the portfolio variety and disparity for each keyword portfolio. And then we run a negative binomial regression analysis where the dependent variables are direct sales and indirect sales. And independent variables include portfolio variety, disparity, and interaction effect between mobile device and portfolio variety and disparity. Then let's take a look at the results. Here, the results shows that the portfolio variety negatively affects direct sales on desktop, but positively affects direct and indirect sales on mobiles. So based on this findings, we suggest that to boost the direct sales on desktop, advertisers may consider designing a portfolio with lower variety. Lower variety means a portfolio with concentrated topics, meaning all the topics ideally come from the same topic. Okay. To boost the direct and indirect sales on mobile, we suggest advertisers to develop a portfolio with higher variety. Higher variety means a portfolio with a more diversified topics. In terms of portfolio disparity, we found that portfolio disparity positively affects direct and indirect sales on desktop, but negatively affects indirect sales. So here, based on this finding, what we suggest is that to boost the direct and indirect sales on desktop, advertisers may consider develop a portfolio with higher disparity. Higher disparity basically means a portfolio with a relative higher concentration in specific product level. Whereas to boost the indirect sales on mobiles, we suggest advertisers develop a portfolio with lower disparity because there's a negative effect. Lower disparity means basically, ideally, all the keywords are from the same subcategory level. So this is what my second research paper is all about. Next, so let me just use about 3 minutes to quickly share with you the basic story of my third research paper about paid search advertising. This paper is about the role of keyword features. The literature in paid search advertising basically studies a variety of keyword features. Some of them are extrinsic features like length of the keyword, rank of the keyword. Some of them are intrinsic features like brand name, retailer name, meaning if that keyword contains a brand name, retailer name, or location related information. Okay. What we found interesting is that the literature actually found contradictory findings on the effects of a branded name. Specifically, some studies found that branded keywords are positively associated with their paid search ad performance, whereas branded keywords are negatively associated with click-through rate conversion rate. So this contradictory findings caught our attention. we're wondering if there is any like factors that may moderate the effects of branded keywords. So we proposed two factors. One is brand market share, another one is consumer brand knowledge. In terms of brand market share, we found that branded keywords tend to generate more product sales than non-branded keywords when the brand market share is high. But that difference between branded and non-branded keywords in product sales disappear when brand market share is low. In terms of brand knowledge, we found that branded keywords tend to generate more product sales than non-branded keywords when consumer brand knowledge is low. But that difference between branded and non-branded keywords disappear when the customer brand knowledge is high. Another keyword feature we looked at in this paper is about their intrinsic hedonic and utilitarian keywords. We know in marketing we have hedonic and utilitarian products. So here, similar to that idea, we proposed hedonic keywords and utilitarian keywords. Hedonic keywords are keywords that describe the enjoyment-related attribute, whereas the utilitarian keywords are keywords that describe the function-related attributes. So we're wondering if hedonic keywords generate more sales than utilitarian keywords, or it is the other way around. What we found is that, well, it depends on the type of the product. For utilitarian products, utilitarian keywords generate more sales than hedonic products, whereas for hedonic products, hedonic keywords generate more sales than utilitarian products. Okay, so that's a basic finding of this research paper. Hopefully I'm right on time for 11. Good, right on time. So feel free to ask any questions.
Yeah, thank you very much, Chongyu. Do you want to stop sharing the screen? Okay, thanks. Yeah, that was very interesting. I never thought about all these different variations. Of course, I mean, not in marketing, so it's not surprising. But why don't we open the floor up to questions? I have a couple of questions, but I don't want to use my privilege here. Anybody have questions for Chongyu? So why don't I start off? I mean, as I said, I'm not in marketing, but I was thinking of a couple of things. One is, obviously you're talking about commercial advertising, products that are being sold by for-profit organizations. I was wondering if there are any implications, what the implications are for non-profits. If you're advertising, I don't know, a suicide hotline or something about vaccines or something like that, if you would change your strategy one way or the other. And a related question, I think it's a related question. I was wondering, as a user, is there something that I should be keeping in mind? Do advertisers maybe change the prices that they offer? I don't know if it's even possible, but would they change the prices that they offer depending upon what mode that I'm using to look at the website?
Okay, that's a very interesting question. I never thought of before. I think in terms of the findings from this studies, I mean, regardless it's my study or any paid search related study, I think what the findings applies to, or kinds of organizations. I mean, regardless it's a profit or non-profit. For example, a one of the most commonly started questions in paid search advertising is say, if their higher position would lead to say higher click-through rate or higher conversion rate. Okay. So for questions like this, it's really, regardless of the type of organization, I think it applies to, all industries, all firms. Okay. One thing that may, play a different, may result in different findings is what I'm thinking in my mind now is if it's say for nonprofit, would consumers more likely to click on advertisement or less likely to click on advertisement? Because on a search result page, we have not only the paid search results, but also organic search results, right? When it comes to, nonprofit, are consumers more likely to click ad, or probably they are more likely to click organic? I don't have the answer to that. Okay, but that's a very interesting question to look at. Because when people search for something, that are nonprofit related, they are probably more, reverse to the advertisement. They are more, they tend to like suspect the reliability of the advertisement listed in the search result page. That's what I'm thinking. But I don't have like an answer to that question for sure. This is just my guess. This is a very interesting point. Dennis?
Hi, very interesting and well done research. But I have a question about the devices. When you look at the different devices that people would use, so obviously advertisers are not going to know upfront what devices people are using. So that's a link that's missing in terms of a practical implication. Would there be differences, for example, in age groups, that certain maybe older people use one type of device more than younger people? Is that something that would also factor into the topics that you've been discussing about device usage?
Oh, yes, that's a very good point. Actually, the data we have is aggregate data. So we're not able to like, differentiate if the device effect is, caused by your age, gender, or something else. So actually, our device effect could be caused by, the same searcher with different click behaviors on different devices, or it could be caused by, different searchers with different click behavior on different devices, like, senior versus younger people, they have different click behaviors on different devices. Or it could be just caused by, different ad copies presented on different devices. Sometimes there are some variations there. So due to the limitation of the data, we're not able to differentiate those effects from each other. So that's the one major limitation of the study. But to answer your question, I think we need, more detailed data, like age related to, differentiate that effect. But that's a good point. In terms of the application here, because from advertisers' perspective, when it comes to set up the bidding price, they only allowed to set a bidding price by device. Set a different prices for device, not like set a higher price for say aged group or lower price for like male, female. That is not allowed in our advertising platform. So in terms of application, I think that failing to differentiate that effect does not matter that much. I mean, the limitation of our study does not matter that much in terms of application.
Yeah, thank you.
Other questions?
Not sure if I'm moving too fast because I try to like cover like papers. Yeah.
Chongyu, what are given the implications of your study? What are the next steps? Are you planning another study based on differences in click behavior or consumer behavior? Looking at the three devices, are you planning anything next? What's next?
I actually have this is a good question. I actually have a question for you. this is relevant to another research paper I'm looking at, which is so I mentioned the branded searches versus unbranded searches in this paper. So did you guys think why, from advertisers' perspective, why did they need to launch advertising campaign for the branded searches? Because that, when people search for branded terms like Hilton Hotel, then a Hilton Hotel is already listed in the organic listing on the top position. What's the point of of developing an advertising campaign for the branded searches?
Well, don't they want their position to be on the top?
They want to position on the top. Okay.
Yeah, because organic will probably be a little low, right? When you pay, you go up a little.
Yeah.
Is it because
actually,
of the position?
in
I'm just
practice,
asking. I'm asking, is it the position of the advertising?
Yeah.
Is it the position of the advertising?
Is the position of advertising?
Yeah.
Are you
I'm
saying
asking.
that launching the branded advertising would make their campaign more efficient? Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying when you pay for it, obviously your page rank search goes up, right? Google Ads. So
yeah, you pay for it. Google.
Is that what you're asking? I mean, maybe I'm not hearing the question properly. You're asking organic versus paid, right?
Yeah, I'm asking organic versus paid, because when people search for branded terms like hotel, say Hilton, then Hilton is already listed in the top position in the organic listing. Then what's the point of launching showing paid position?
I think there's, I think Pradeep's question and I think there, one way to look at it real quickly is that there's a lot of literature now that says when people do an organic search like red shoes and somebody places an ad like Nike for red shoes, the sales go up or traffic goes up by 30-40%. So I don't know if that's somewhere where you're thinking about your next study. Is that what you're thinking? The combination?
No, I'm talking about another project I'm starting related to paid search ad is more about the interaction effect between the organic listing and paid listing.
Right.
The presence of the paid search ad make consumers more likely or less likely to click on the organic link from the same advertiser point of view.
I just have one really quick thing to say. I missed a little bit of your presentation because of my other meeting, but I wanted to ask, did you do anything to look for words like best, highest rated? And I know you somewhere mentioned semantics. So when people search best, best shoes or best this, do you ever look at the semantics of the search by rating, ranking, or any of those, the adjectives, highest rated shoes or best in your organic searches?
There's already a literature looked at that. They looked at different components of the ad copies, if there the keyword in the headlines, and if there's ratings in the ad copies and something like that. It's already personally. Yeah, but that's a good point. Yeah.
Great. Okay.
So far, what I have looked at is only the text-based ads. Okay, I think a more interesting study could be a lot of advertisements actually in pictures. Okay, so how would that different components of that pictures would affect the performance of advertising campaign, and how that the picture-based ads would be different than the text-based ads in terms of the effectiveness of advertising campaign. That would be interesting story to look at.
Thank you very much, Chongyu. Since we have a couple of minutes left, I'd like to introduce. I'd like to call on Dean Singleton to wrap up the proceedings.
Thanks, PV. Chongyu, this was excellent. Thank you very much for a great presentation. I kind of hang out in the back so that I don't want to get in the way of your presentation. It was excellent. As I look at this, I was watching the number of participants. The highest we got to was 15, and that's just ridiculous. I think for a presentation like yours, everybody should be. Everybody on the faculty, Lubin, should be there, as well as some people from around other schools around PACE. I want to thank those of you who came for coming. I think this is a great thing for us to have in Lubin, and it's very successful from everything I can see. Except it's just not well attended. A lot of marketers here, which makes sense to me. But I appreciate those of you who aren't marketers being here too. It's smart, so you can learn about opportunities for interdisciplinary research. It's just a great opportunity to do that. So I'm glad it's going well. It's the first time I've been able to attend. I've had meeting conflicts every other one this semester. But I'm really glad I could be here. And I want to thank you for those of you who attended. Thank you, PV and Leora, for doing a good job. Where did she go? She was here at the beginning, I think.
She had to leave.
Okay.
She had some
For doing
personal-
such a good job. And I look forward to the spring. Thank you. Thanks, everybody.
So, yeah. Thanks, everybody, for coming. I just want to remind you, next term, February 9th, March 9th, April 7th, and April 27th, we have speakers. Ted Baker from Management and Entrepreneurship, Iftikhar Hassan in Finance, Bunny Black in Legal Studies, and Rebecca Han in Accounting. You'll get all the information, but please make it a point to attend. Thank you again, and enjoy the rest of your term.
Since this is Dean Singleton's first attendance, I wanted to say that the marketing department has showed up at all of the research seminars.
Very
just so you-
impressive. Very impressive. Yeah. Very